Welcome to the Roosevelt Weekly Report. It is good to see all of you. Here's a quick update on currently what's going on in the Roosevelt campaign, and we are happy and excited to be out there every day. We were just recently in the neighborhood talking to a lot of families about what will keep them here in Arlington, Fairfax. What we heard was something that was very interesting, that people are actually leaving their homes because of the quality of education here in the district is not to the standard in the par. They want their child to have the best education. The overcrowding in the schools, that's a big problem. And that's not just one household. That's many households right now. And we've got to get out there and get moving on that education. With the STEM focus, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, we were talking to those constituents and what we can do to help improve that education system. It is very important. Secondly, we were able to go out there and talk to our good friends in the county and start coming together with different policies to start assisting our veteran homes. And essentially, we've ran into some neighbors that essentially have lost their spouses, whether they were in war and combat, and now these widows are left behind. We've got to make sure that the government is taking care of those families who are left behind. We had a special guest from the Second Amendment Institute. We sat down and we talked about the Constitution and the Second Amendment, which is near and dear to us, the right to support and defend, but most importantly, to bear arms. And we've got a special guest from the Second Amendment Institute who joined us today to talk about that. So please, Tyler, tell us a little bit about the Second Amendment Institute and what the Second Amendment Institute looks forward to doing for the American people.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Adam, for bringing me onto your show. I appreciate it. First time really on our show and talking about what our organization does. So the Second Amendment Institute, we educate, activate, and empower individuals to be effectively mobilized for the Second Amendment. So we're really an organization that helps people come to understand the importance of the Second Amendment and why we need to preserve, protect, and defend it. And what we do is we act as an educational organization and slowly introduce those who are not used to the Second Amendment or not familiar with it or with firearms, and we try to get them comfortable with it and show them a new perspective of it. There's the organizations like the NRA, who, without them, we would have a lot of bad legislation for the Second Amendment. Gun Owners of America, of course, should do the same. So we're taking it from a different perspective as a 501c3. So we're more of an educational organization, and that's what we do with our organization.
Great. Okay. So that's a really good point there, and I think that as American citizens, we should know what our rights are and the importance of defending ourselves in our homes. So I'm a very, very big advocate of making sure that you're able to support and defend as well as protect your families. Another question that was brought up, essentially, we want to talk about some court cases. A lot of big things have been happening, but we've got court cases that have been on the front page to move forward the Second Amendment rights, and I'm hearing about the Heller versus DC. Can you go a little bit into that and let the people know exactly what that's about?
Sure. Well, back in 2008, DC v. Heller was finally brought to the Supreme Court, in which the ruling from Justice Scalia stated that the Second Amendment is an individual right, and that really gave DC residents the power, the constitutional authority to be able to possess a firearm, along with the rest of the country, finally ending the debate that if the Second Amendment was an individual right. Because up to then, you have these law professors and judges going back and forth saying it is an individual right, it's not an individual right, and DC v. Heller finally put an end to that. And then if we speed up to recently, let's see, Monday, when the court decided not to hear the case from the Ninth Circuit District Court of Appeals, in Justice Thomas's dissent, he stated, this is now allowing the road to be paved where we give priority to certain amendments. And he also stated in his dissent that the Second Amendment is not limited to self-defense in the home. And, even the new justice was right there with him and completely agree in his dissent as well. And I think it's really, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because we're supposed to have this new Supreme Court, and I would have hoped that they would have heard this case from the Ninth Circuit, and they chose not to.
Interesting. That's really good information, and I will tell you personally, we have been impacted by a lot of these problems with people not being able to defend themselves. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a shooting. What would have happened if the Capitol Police were not on site, Tyler?
Well, just as Senator Rand Paul said, it would have been a massacre. And what it comes down to is a good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy with a gun. If it had not been for that, those Capitol Police officers, it would have been a massacre.
I agree. So again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Tyler, Second Amendment Institute, very young, just like myself, and we're out here just to make sure that the world knows that we're involved as young people and we're ready to lead the nation for the foreseeable future. Thank you all. We'll see you again next week. I want to say thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for being involved, and thank you all for just supporting me. I really appreciate everything you do. I encourage you to join the campaign. I encourage you to join this movement. I encourage you to do all that you can do and be all that you can be, because we are Americans and we have so much to look forward to. And again, I am Adam Roosevelt. I authorize and approve this message. God bless you all. God bless your families, and God bless the Commonwealth. We'll talk to you next week.